Mel Gibson is one of Hollywood's most famous and most controversial actors. But love him or hate him, Gibson has starred in some damn good movies, the best of which will be revealed in this video. And some of these picks may surprise you, especially our top 3. So make sure to watch this video all the way to the very end. Here are the top 10 Mel Gibson movies ever made. Number 10. The Patriot. Released in 2000 and directed by Roland Emmerich, The Patriot is an epic historical war film that takes place during the American Revolutionary War. Mel Gibson stars as Benjamin Martin, who is initially resistant to fighting the British, but soon has no choice but to take up arms after tragedy strikes his family. The film also features the late Heath Ledger, who stars as Gibson's oldest son, as well as Joely Richardson, Jason Isaacs, and Chris Cooper in supporting roles. For the most part, The Patriot is an engrossing and well-made historical action movie. Although, at close to 3 hours, it is at times a little bit redundant and drawn out. Number 9. Conspiracy Theory. Released in 1997, Conspiracy Theory is a political action thriller directed by Richard Donner. Gibson stars as Jerry Fletcher, a hyper-paranoid Manhattan cab driver and conspiracy theorist. Soon, one of Fletcher's crazy theories turns out to be true, and this quickly puts his life in grave danger. The movie also stars Julia Roberts, as well as Steve Caan and Patrick Stewart in supporting roles. Conspiracy Theory was a financial success, grossing close to $137 million. But still, there were many critics who panned it, calling the movie shallow and far-fetched. We can definitely see where they're coming from. But even though Conspiracy Theory might be a little silly and unrealistic, we still think it belongs on the list because it has a fun and fast-paced plot, and it's just plain entertaining to watch, even today, 25 years after it was released. Number 8. Maverick. Released in 1994 and directed by Richard Donner, Maverick is a Western action comedy movie based on the 1960s television series of the same name. Gibson stars as Brett Maverick, a con artist and card player who is hard-pressed to earn enough money to enter into a high-stakes poker tournament being held on a paddle steamer. Gibson gives a witty and comedic performance in this amusing, lighthearted, and easy-to-watch film. Maverick also has a very solid supporting cast, including Jodie Foster, James Garner, Alfred Molina, and James Coburn. Maverick was both a critical and a commercial success, grossing over $183 million worldwide. The film does an excellent job capturing the visuals of the time period, and this earned Maverick an Academy Award nomination for Best Costume Design. Number 7. Lethal Weapon. Released way back in 1987 and directed by Richard Donner, Lethal Weapon is an action cop movie that made Mel Gibson into a huge Hollywood star. Gibson stars as Martin Riggs, a former Green Beret who has become erratic and suicidal after the death of his wife. Riggs works alongside his partner, who's played by Danny Glover, in the LAPD's narcotics unit, as they work to take down a group of covert heroin traffickers. Gibson and Glover frequently bang heads, which makes for some funny moments when they're not chasing the bad guys. In supporting roles, the movie also stars Gary Busey, Darlene Love, and Mitchell Ryan. Let's be real here. In a lot of ways, this movie is honestly kind of dumb, just like many other action movies released in the 80s. But despite its cheesiness, Lethal Weapon is still nostalgic and entertaining. This quintessential 80s action movie is actually so entertaining that it managed to gross $120 million on a budget of just $15 million. And this spawned 3 sequels as well as a television series. Number 6. Ransom. Released in 1996, Ransom is an action thriller movie directed by Ron Howard. Gibson stars as Tom Mullen, a multi-millionaire business mogul whose son is suddenly kidnapped, with the kidnapper demanding a $2 million ransom payment. Not only does the kidnapping mastermind turn out to be someone you wouldn't expect, but Mullen responds in an unexpected way, ignoring everyone's advice and going on the offensive against the kidnapper. Ransom features an excellent supporting cast, including Rene Russo, Gary Sinise, and Delroy Lindo. As 1996's 6th highest grossing film, Ransom was a box office success. It also earned Gibson a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actor. Number 5. Braveheart. Released in 1995 and directed and produced by Mel Gibson and his own movie company Icon Productions, Braveheart is an epic war historical drama that many regard as Gibson's best movie ever. Gibson stars as William Wallace, the 13th century Scottish warrior who leads his nation in a fight for freedom and independence against England and the tyrannical King Edward. The supporting cast includes Sophie Marceau, Patrick McGoohan, Catherine McCormick, and Brendan Gleeson. Braveheart was a critical and commercial success, grossing over $200 million worldwide. This sweeping film has it all: action, drama, romance, history, and even a bit of comedy. In fact, Braveheart was so powerful and influential that it sparked a renewed interest in Scottish tourism. And in 1996, a year after this film was released, the annual Braveheart Conference held at Stirling Castle swelled from 66,000 to over 167,000 attendees. Braveheart definitely features lots of graphic, over-the-top violence, and at 3 hours running time, it's also a long movie. But at the end of the day, the overwhelming consensus is that Braveheart is a satisfying historical saga. In fact, this movie won more awards than we have time to mention here, including Academy Awards for Best Picture and Best Director. Number 4. Bloodfather. Released in 2016 and directed by Jean-Francois Richet, this action crime thriller fell short of commercial success, grossing only $7 million on a budget of $15 million. But in our eyes, this Mel Gibson sleeper movie is a success, and more than worthy of a watch. According to Rotten Tomatoes critical consensus, Bloodfather meets every expectation a film fan could have for a latter-day Mel Gibson action thriller with its title, and even, in some respects, handily exceeds them. Gibson stars as John Link, an ex-convict and recovering alcoholic whose estranged daughter, played by Erin Moriarty, gets mixed up with a deadly Mexican drug cartel. The film also has a great supporting cast, including Diego Luna, Michael Parks, and William Macy. You may be wondering how the hell we rank Bloodfather higher than Braveheart, and that would be a valid question. Here's the thing: even though Bloodfather may not have won any awards or been as critically acclaimed, we like the fast-moving plot and non-stop action. This one is just flat-out fun to watch. Number 3. Dragged Across Concrete. Released in 2018 and directed by S. Craig Zahler, this neo-noir crime thriller stars an ensemble cast that includes Mel Gibson, Vince Vaughn, Tori Kittles, Michael Jai White, Jennifer Carpenter, Laurie Holden, Fred Melamed, Udo Kier, Thomas Kretschmann, and Don Johnson. Mel Gibson and Vince Vaughn star as two suspended, underpaid detectives who decide to claim the money they believe they rightfully deserve by targeting a ruthless group of bank robbers. And that's where things get interesting. This isn't your typical good guy, bad guy movie. Dragged Across Concrete operates in the murky gray, showing us all sides, including the perspective of the criminals. This movie is over 2.5 hours long, but it has an almost hypnotizing effect, where it pulls you in and compels you to keep watching until the very end. It may not be the ending that you expect, but this gritty and action-packed crime movie will leave you feeling like you got your money's worth. Number 2. Edge of Darkness. Released in 2010 and directed by Martin Campbell, Edge of Darkness is a conspiracy action thriller that is one of Gibson's most underrated films. This was actually Gibson's first starring role after an 8-year hiatus. In this magnetic movie, Gibson stars as Thomas Craven, a detective investigating the murder of his daughter, which ultimately leads him down a dark path of conspiracies and cover-ups. The supporting cast is completely on point, including Ray Winstone, Danny Houston, and Bojana Novakovic. We don't want to give away too much, but let's just say that if you're a fan of Mel Gibson and you like action movies, then this one definitely won't disappoint you. Edge of Darkness grabs you by the throat early on and never lets up. We think Michael Rechtschaffen of The Hollywood Reporter nailed it with his review, of which he wrote, "An intense Mel Gibson performance anchors this brutally effective crime thriller." Other reviews have compared this film to Taken with Liam Neeson, but we think Edge of Darkness is actually better, even though it may not be as commercially successful. Number 1. Apocalypto. Released in 2006 and directed by Mel Gibson, we think this epic historical adventure film is worthy of being called Gibson's best film, even though he didn't actually star in it. In fact, Apocalypto doesn't star any big-name Hollywood actors, but it does have an excellent cast, led by Rudy Youngblood and Raul Trujillo. With this exciting, heart-pounding thriller of a movie, Mel Gibson manages to create movie magic, so much so that you can't help but feel like these events actually took place. Set in Yucatan, Mexico, around the year 1500, the movie tells the story of a young hunter named Jaguar Paw, whose village is destroyed by a savage, power-hungry tribe of marauders. The entire adrenaline-filled movie takes place within 24 hours, and Gibson takes our hero on an unforgettable, fast-paced journey during one of the most interesting and transformative time periods in the history of our planet. This is another instance where Rotten Tomatoes is dead on, as the critical consensus is, Apocalypto is a brilliantly filmed, if mercilessly bloody, examination of a once great civilization. What did you think of our rankings? Do you agree? Disagree? Did we miss any? What's your all-time favorite Mel Gibson movie? Make sure to comment below. And if you like Mel Gibson movies, then chances are you can appreciate a good mafia movie. But which ones are the best? If you want our take, then go ahead and click on the image appearing on your screen right now. We promise this won't be like any Mafia Top 10 list you've ever seen before. Go ahead, click it and see for yourself.